Hello and welcome to today's historic best of 3 deck tech and gameplay video on version 2 of a Flicker Midrange list. Flicker Midrange, if you don't happen to know what Flicker means, it does come from a card, but we're not going to talk about that right now. All you need to know is that functionally, to flicker a card basically means to play a creature. Well, I don't think it has to exclusively be creatures, but historically it is. You play a creature that is a particularly good enter the battlefield effect, and then through various effects like Hallowed Respite or Broker's Safeguard, Ephemerate, or even the new Distinguished Conjurer, you, by whatever relative means, will flicker, thus the name, where it goes out of play and into play, the creature in question with the particular useful battle cry that you want to get an additional use out of. So the deck is, at its core, 3 main categories: creatures you want to get repeated value out of their enter the battlefield clause, ways to flicker or to manually trigger the aforementioned creatures to various value, and through that value, hopefully a bit of pressure. And of course, the third category that exists in all of my decks, which are like glue cards. Cards like Archmage's Charm, some Get Lost, and the best white glue card I have seen printed in a really long time, and one that I have really fallen in love with, 3-Tree Battalion. I've talked about this in the Aristocrats video. You will see this card in a lot of white decks for me going forward in the future. It's fantastic. It's a white color shifted version of Collected Company, which is particularly useful in this list because, again, we want to just look really deep for our various particularly good enter the battlefield effects, and 3-Tree Battalion works as additional copies of those creatures in question, and again, more value, more pressure, and hopefully you close out a game from there. And that is the basics of the list. We play things we want to abuse, or play creatures we want to abuse their ETB effects, ways to initiate the abusing of the ETB effect, and some glue cards to sort of hold the whole package together. The land base, pretty simple. This is a slower, more mid-rangey, grindy value kind of list, so if you have cards like I do, like tap lands that have some sort of extra benefit, this is a great place to run them. I run Temples and the new Surveil lands, but really, this is one of those, as long as you have some mix of lands that you like, you don't actually have to be particularly adherent to the individual lands I use. This is a more budget-friendly land base than most decks are. Just run lands that you like that can produce multiple colors, run some basics, and if you have some utility lands floating around, kind of like that, also include them. Sideboard, pretty self-explanatory. Path to Exile if you need more creature removal. Lion Sash for the rare graveyard-heavy list. Dovin's Veto for particularly scary non-creature spells. Guardian of Faith as a way to protect your creatures against like board wipes or removal spells, and is itself a enter the battlefield effect that both can get hit off of 3-Tree Battalion, and you can also reuse and get additional uses out of from your various flicker effects. Cleansing Nova and Settle the Wreckage are basically, well, Settle is one-sided sweeper, and the Cleansing Nova is a singleton copy, but sometimes you just need to have a panic button in your list. Change the Equation is usually there for red and green matchups, which are pretty common since you can sort of be ran over before you set up your value engine. Cavalier of Dawn is a higher end threat that can sort of more easily remove a greater variety of things, as well as just presenting a big body that will eventually end a game. And last, to Chamil the Inner Suns for basically counterspell heavy matchups. And if we need to, or if our opponent is running a lot of like discard stuff and we're going to be low on resources, the Inner Sun lets us deal with both the resources and the counterspells. And that is the basics of the list. With all that out of the way, don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future, and if you have any sort of questions like I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive comments, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. With all that out of the way, we'll go on now to game number 1. And game number 1 with our little Flicker Midrange list. And as always, we go first because we have a brain. This is a fine hand. We don't have the greatest amount of things to do, but odds are we'll draw into some lands and eventually work our way into it. Our opponent has blue-white sleeves, a Teferi avatar, hoping... My god, they're really mulliganing down. Hopefully our opponent is running just like a blue-white control list, which this deck can do pretty well against, honestly. But they mulliganed a lot. So that makes me think either they just had the worst luck on the planet or they're like really looking for something in particular. Fabled Passage tells me absolutely nothing. Is just a perfectly fine land. It's a white source. Guess we'll do a pathway on white. That way we can have the 2 white necessary for a Skyclave Apparition if we need it. Beginning to think it is a Azorius control list. Just play the Soul Herder. We're not clearly getting any value out of the Soul Herder's effects, but we're just trying to develop a board and force our opponent to use removal. Although, hi Carmel, thank you for getting out of the way to scream, banana. What was I going to say? A lot of our, like... Okay, I was gonna say a lot of our like Skyclave Apparitions are not the most useful in a matchup like this, but I might be wrong. Okay. Go ahead and play the Hollow Fountain. Play a Skyclave. Getting rid of the Banishing Light. Pretty good. I'm gonna decline that. I don't want to give him the 3/3 body without having the ability to like get rid of the created illusion token, which the deck does have. Let's see what our opponent does. If anything, granted. Another Banishing Light. Probably gets rid of the Skyclave. I mean... kind of fine. I don't think we super care. What do we do here? I guess pathway on white. We can afford to take the 3. Keep open a Dovin's Veto if we need to, if they play something like a Teferi Hero or something. And if they play nothing, we can always just play the Battalion here and look for particularly useful effects. Or creatures, anyway. Totally fine. I would not be the most surprised if they have a counterspell for this. The Banishing Light is a weird form of removal, but it's not, like, unseen or unheard of to run. They're digging. Okay, Thirst for Meaning and the Banishing Light. It's making a little more sense now. They probably found what they need to. Oh, they're in the... That's right, they're deciding what to get rid of. Gonna resolve. Not bad. Sure, Blade Splicer. If nothing else, we'll begin to just, like, apply pressure. Honestly, yeah, we'll just play the other Soul Herder. We don't really need to attack with anything more than just the golems. They have first strike. And we're going to start using our Soul Herders on the individual copies of Blade Splicers, hopefully getting a big board. Not going to lie, if they run... Hang on. First, one Blade Splicer, second Blade Splicer. If they run, I think it's Divine Judgment, the blue-white sweeper that can't be countered, we're going to be in trouble. But if they have like a Divine Purge, we have a veto open. Just old school Wrath of God we're okay with. Even if they play like a big like Planeswalker kind of threat, I think we're kind of alright. I don't know if we super care. Day of Judgment. There we go. Dovin's veto that, and that's probably game 1 going to us. Yep, thought so. To be expected. Okay. We're going to need the Guardian of Faith because they have sweepers. A couple Chamills. They're going to have counter spells and a couple more Dovin's vetoes. Get rid of an Apparition. And honestly, a Soul Herder. We're not going to really be able to make use of all 3. They're on to our cutesy little game here. Hallowed Respite. Yeah, we can cut him. And maybe 1 Ephemerate. Yeah, feeling pretty good. The cat's out of the bag of what we're going to do, and blue-white control has more than enough resources available in its card pool to very much so stomp down on what we're doing. So we really got to like answer kind of what they're doing. Can't really afford to lean farther in, if that makes sense. Doesn't it, Caimo Mimo? Hi, honey bear. Hi, goober. Hi, banana. Would you like to come hang out with the dad? You're in front of the other monitor, that's fine. As long as you're not in front of the one I'm looking at, I'm cool. Yeah, it's cold outside. Oh, there's your sister. Hi. Get party. What would our opponent bring in, since we're just kind of waiting? Probably going to bring in more sweepers. So we don't want to go too hard into any particular board. At least without the phase knight whose name is in my head. I just can't remember it at this moment. The guy we just put in from the sideboard. The flash dude. Without that, don't want to go too wide into a board. Granted, if a blade splicer, for example, is just like left alone and not answered, and we like are able to have like a soul herder just like last game, and we generate a large board, something like that, it's a little more difficult to, how do I word this? It's more difficult to like not develop a board in that situation than you would think, and it's one of those, at that moment it devolves into you got to make them have it kind of thing. 2 lands. I have a Get Lost and a Blade Splicer eventually. We're on the draw. Yeah, we'll keep it. Why not? If we draw like a blue source, we're absolutely cooking. Mulliganing down is good. It's not a blue source or a land, to be honest. If we don't draw at least the 3rd land, we're going to be in for a rough time. Okay, really need to draw that land. Like, very much so. Okay, that's technically what I asked. I can't get too upset. Reflector Mage is not going to be that useful later on. That's more so going to be used to probably get rid of, well, hopefully get rid of their particular, playing the Conjurer, their particular creature they use to sort of like go over the top. I have seen versions that use Dream Trawler, so that would be a little bit difficult to get under. Some use, and this person appears to be running a lot more enchantments, so maybe Shark Typhoon, possibly. But anywho, play a Delny. Another one of the new cards that sort of made me want to run this list. A load of the creatures we want to flicker are creatures with less than 2 power, and therefore we'll get extra uses out of Delny. Or, their battle cries will get extra uses from Delny. That's fine. What are you gonna do? Play another land. Honestly, that's not the worst. And we'll just play a Blade Splicer. Hope our opponent doesn't have another sweeper, but if they do, what are you gonna do? Thirst for Meaning. Does he discard the enchantment? Or does he discard 2? Discards the 2. What did he get rid of? Yeah, Narset and Absorb. Pretty standard deviance for what's it called? Pretty standard deviance for a blue-white control list. Yeah, we'll go ahead and attack. Why not? We have a 3-tree battalion if they don't do anything. If they want to get rid of our board or play something big and scary, we have a veto. We don't have a land we need to worry about, like a Hall of the Storm Giants or something that will apply pressure, so we don't need to use the White Orchid. And we'll Dovin's Veto. It can't be countered, so unless they have like some bounce off the stack kind of counterspell, we're okay. Yeah, we just do the same thing again. The Dovin's Veto does sort of... The additional copies of Dovin's Veto, I should say, really just help to... Oh, God. Help to shore up our defenses here. So they did run Dream Trawler. Really, really sucks. That really, really sucks. I guess we can do a 3-tree. Hopefully find... Wow, we bricked. Well, that's the worst feeling on the planet. That's fun. I guess we do Pathway on white. Maybe a Deputy. They have the card draw to... Or they have the cards in their hand, I should say, to throw away to keep this thing alive. My only hope is that I can, like, just force them to keep pitching cards and maybe we can pull away on card advantage. I'm gonna keep the Get Lost. We're gonna attack first. I'm gonna keep the Get Lost to the start of their turn to get rid of the lifelink from... to keep the Dream Trawler from lifelinking, to ensure, as much as you can ensure, that our damage is being retained, if that makes sense. Or it's sticking. Do the Get Lost. If he wants to save it, he has to discard another card. And that's one more turn of not having... what's it called? Of not having the lifelink. He also runs a veto. We're in big trouble now, which is not great. That's really, 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 really bad. Really stinks. I guess we'll do a Pathway, or sorry, a Hallowed Fountain. Do the 3-tree first. Hopefully find something. Don't have another veto. Sweet. I will happily veto the Absorb. And just hope we can find something that makes our opponent... Okay, oh, that's not perfect at all. My brain just... Did I just throw the game? I'm so upset with myself. I think I just threw the game. I should have... I'm so used to, like, Apparition being the thing you hit when you want to do removal, but I forgot that the Apparition in a split second is... Oh, that fucking sucks. Yeah, I think that's just the game gone. I don't think I have a response to that. Yeah, that... I'm so fucking upset with myself. Okay, what do we do? Oh, what the fuck do I do? Really, I fucked that up. Okay. Think, Max. I guess we White Orchid. We have to get rid of the Hall of the Storm Giants. It's the only way we, like, stay alive for long. They probably have a basic. You would think they'd have a basic, I should say. But maybe they've already gotten all of theirs. So we can slowly start dismantling their land base and stuff. Nope. Okay, there goes that. Honestly, no attack here is good. Oh my god, that's the fucking worst. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, that's cool, that's cool. Gonna try and sink into stupor the Dream Trawler. Well, that's fine. Arguably should have done that in main one. Yeah. The card is so difficult to get under. I mean, okay, yeah, we block. And they're going to have the... Yeah, we sow through that. Granted, even if we did take the Soul Herder and manage to flicker the Deputy, they at all points in time would have had the ability or enough cards to just pay the hexproof cost. Yeah, it's the only chance we got. Do you? Thank you. Pay that. Yeah, it's over. Okay, I didn't help. That let's just say that. But I didn't do as much damage as I thought I did. I thought I was like really screwed. Orchid's cute, but not that useful. They run a lot of basics. Bring in a path. Yeah, you just have to try and get under. Dream Trawler is though like an older school, like really good like top end for blue-white control. So I can't even give him too much flack. It's just so hard to get under that card. By design, granted, it is an absolute bomb. Well, we are going to be on the play on turn or on game 3, which is nice. Not the most certain. Well, hang on. I do feel confident about the game, but like, man, this opener's got to be like kind of good. I would like to win this if at all possible. Because even if I don't win this game, I should say, even during testing, I have ran into blue-white control list, and the deck can win. It's still very capable of generating wins against control matchups. But if like it's sounds like a very obvious kind of no shit statement where it's like very dependent on your draws, but like it's a card game, so it's again kind of a duh sentence or statement. But against really traditional control decks like this, like if you have to have an answer. Or you have to have an answer to their answer, basically. If you don't, then like they're gonna do a better job of answering you than you are them, if that makes any sense. It's very word salady, I apologize. That's slower, but it's something. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Temple. Procurse is kind of cool, but I already have a Soul Herder, so I don't need additional copies. We're in a good spot to generate a big scary board. With the Blade Splicer and a Soul Herder left largely alone. We'll be very good at, like... applying pressure. Hi, banana. Thank you. Feeling pretty good. Gonna play the Sink into Stupor as a land. Play the Blade Splicer. Yeah. Plan remains the same. Play the Blade Splicer, and just hope they don't have answers in a deck that's filled with answers. This is one of those moments where you just have to make your opponent have it. 3 lands, a wide variety of answers. Guess we'll play the Archive. See if we can find... I mean, Conjurer's not awful. Yeah. Play the Soul Herder and just hope they don't have an answer. Sorry? Or it has to be like a destroy effect. I was thinking like a counter spell. Really? Are you gonna like get rid of the Blade Splicer in response? Okay. I'm feeling good. Button ball. Thank you. Here, hang on. Let me open up the thing so you can lay back under the cover. Sweeper? Sweeper. Makes a little more sense now. Yeah, sure. Play a Conjurer and play an Apparition just to apply pressure. The Apparition has the least amount of things to hit. And if we really need to, we can always play or activate the Conjurer's ability and get an additional use out of the Apparition if we need to. Birth of Meletis. There's a land. Doing the thing. Play land. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. Yeah, just apply pressure. That's all one can hope to do. If we need to, we can always Deputy of Attention and use the Deputy to get rid of the wall. If we're like that scared of it. But we're feeling good. Whack. Whack. Are you hang on, what? Well, you're stuck. That's what you get. Gotta be careful, man. Veto. Sorry. The cat got claw stuck in chair. What do we do here? They clearly have sweepers, like, not only because they play them, but like as a deck, as a control deck, you just run sweepers is what you do. Do I just ignore it? Yeah, I think I just ignore it. Let's go face. If I need to, I would prefer to build cards up in hand now. Since a Delny and a Detention here, or the Deputy, can you get rid of like a particularly large board, which is very nice. That's fine. Just waiting for the answer. That's not quite an answer, but sure. Looking and digging. Okay. Yeah, I'll just... yeah, keep on attacking. And use the smallest force possible to force an opponent to use a, like, sweeper or interaction. It's kind of all you can hope to do. You are making progress. That's cool, Mr. Archon. Land is pretty nice. Think I will Apparition the Archon here. I don't want them to start getting too far away with it. Unless they have a response. Maybe they respond. It's not great. Sure, a white source. Why not? Okay. Still feeling relatively fine, though. Yeah. How much land do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We draw land, we can do a lot, but even if we don't. Yeah. Do a Delny, see if they respond. That is a good one to absorb, for being honest. In that case, we'll do a Soul Herder. See if they have a response to that, which they might. It's resolving. Ooh la la. Deputy. They're going to counter that. Yep, that'll do it. I mean, credit to give them. They just had, you know, that's the way the river is, to use a poker term. Sure, we'll do that. Unfortunately, they just had all the answers they needed to answer my whole hand. I think the game is away from us. It will depend greatly upon what I draw. There's a Narset. Where's the blue wheel effect that's going to only make me draw one card? Alright. 3-tree might be enough. If they have a counterspell, then life is miserable and we're sad. Get rid of Archon and Narset. Yeah, we'll do an apparition. Why not? Give me all the triggers. Archon gone. Narset gone. If they have a sweeper, they have the sweeper. We don't really have a whole lot of responses to that. Not gonna attack since they could turn on the Hall of the Storm Giants. Do we... kind of don't want to get rid of anything, so I'm going to decline. Or I don't want to flicker anything, so I'm going to decline. I don't want to give them the tokens that would be generated, unless I have a way to get rid of the tokens, like a Deputy or a Reflection Mage. They're starting to kind of run out of cards. Let's see. In that case, I would rather have you sweep the dude you're gonna, or one of the dudes you're gonna get from me. Get some life out of the deal. Yep. Just trying to get as much life out of this as we can. We're not out of it. We're just nearly out of it. It's not great. Let's see what we draw. It's gonna stink if I have to use my Hall of the Storm Giants defensively. But I think I'm going to have to. Yep, scrying with the Omen as they should. This game's feeling kind of over. Yeah, only hope is that they don't have an answer. Trade creature land for creature land, that's fine. Fucking that is not helpful. We died to a lot. Like a whole hell of a lot. We don't draw a more proactive threat next turn. Cool. They have won fair and square. And that's fine. Sometimes you're going to lose. Still a fun list, though. And Flicker, well, they were going to counter whatever I was going to play, which makes me feel better. Flicker as an archetype is getting better than it has been previously. And if you like Flicker, like, it's still fun, and it still, like, mechanically works. It's an average deck in the hand of an average pilot, so it'll do the job. But if you're looking for, like, a really strong one, again, Flicker, it's getting better. It's just not quite there. Still sort of in the meme category, but it's, like, pushing in the middle tiers of power. But anywho, on to game number 2. And game number 2 with our little Flicker mid-range list. And as always, we play first because we have a brain. Honestly, that's a perfectly fine hand. 3 lands, 4 spells, things to do. I'm sure, are there technically better, you know, openers? Yes, but it's close enough that we'll just take the, you know, take a good thing. Sorry? Huh. Okay, so the Modern Horizons, like, Triome Searcher thingy. I would assume that means some sort of Esper list. In the meantime, just play a Hallowed Fountain tap, since we don't have anything else to do with our turn anyway. 1 second. There we go. Please pardon the coughing. I am losing the battle a little bit. In the meantime, I guess we'll play an island and a blade splicer. See where our next turn takes us. See what they play. A main deck Dawnbringer Cleric is certainly a choice. And so I have functionally no idea what our opponent's doing, but sure, that's fine. Enter, yeah, feeling pretty good. We can afford to go ahead and pass since we have 3 Tree Battalion. If nothing else, just see what our opponent does, get some more information, and then hopefully, with any luck, you know, still generally try and apply pressure how the deck wants to do. Anyway. Again, Contaminated Landscape, totally fine. I love that these cards exist, by the way. I think these are, at least for probably Commander, if we're being honest. Commander and Limited. These are, like, really, really good lands. They're well designed. I don't think they're, like, overly powerful. Can't really ask for much more. Okay, Become Treasure. That's fine. Go ahead and do the 3 tree now. Maybe we get lucky. Find something. Well, okay, that's not. It's not awful. We're not going to block, however. That would be foolish. Honestly, I don't want to give them Dawnbreaker Cleric triggers, so I think we'll just do a Pathway on white. We can hold up. Hang on, let's do this. We'll attack. Do a Hallowed Respite on our Blade Splicer. Getting Flicker value and generating, you know, a board with dudes. Also, we'll keep up a Broker's Safeguard if we need to. One Soul Herder will target a Blade Splicer. Decline one. Take action with another. Again, as much value, and in this case pressure, as we can make off of our various things we happen to be, you know, flickering repeatedly. I don't want to advance the board too much in case our opponent happens to have some weird main deck sweeper. Detention Sphere. Okay, that's fine. Especially with how my board is right now, like I can't terribly... Oh, right, Detention Sphere does both. Right. I forgot Detention Sphere worked like that. It's I even have the creature version of it in my list. Deputy of Detention, I actually have that in this list, which makes me feel even extra silly. Guess we'll do a Skyclave. Getting rid of their Detention Sphere. Getting back our dudes. And then we'll attack with our little golems. And much like last turn, at the end of this turn, we're gonna flicker the Blade Splicer and the Skyclave Apparition. We don't really mind giving him a 3/3. That also, if we need to, we can just bounce with a Reflector Mage. So, first one Blade Splicer, second one Skyclave. Take action on both accounts. All the while, first of all, getting rid of the Cleric here, and all the while growing our Soul Herders into formidable threats all their own. Take the action. And again, we don't care about the 3/3, not only because it's just a 3/3 Dirtler, but our Phyrexian Golems can block, and as long as they have First Strike from the Blade Splicer, we can block pretty profitably. That's fine. Is it discard, or do I choose, right? No, they choose. Okay. That's fine. No, I was right. In that case, Reflector Mage, well... Yeah, Reflector Mage. I prefer the Berserker Safeguard, and this is one of those, we're far enough ahead, we don't need to try and go for, like, too wide of a board, or go too far out ahead. We're pretty firmly in the driver's seat, so we don't need to go that far out. Yeah, just attack with the Golems again. Trying to get the Soul Herders to a point where we can attack pretty freely with them and not have to worry about a double trade getting rid of them. And again, trying to... we'll do a Blade Splicer. And then we'll just second Blade Splicer and only take one of the action. And again, we don't want to try... Or we want to try to not progress our board too much. As much as we can, anyway. To, like, avoid potential sweepers. Though granted, with Soul Herder and a Blade Splicer, you can only do so much finagling on your end. Pardon the dog in the other room that you can clearly hear. Hostage Taker. That's fine. That's also fine. So we can do you. Here. Okay, this is going to be very unprofessional, but I am going to let the dog out really quick. Sorry about that. Dog was barking away to go out, and you'll likely hear the dog bark again. It's the only thing that makes sense, right? You don't need the Soaring City that much. I'm beginning to think they're not running the most amount of interaction in the world. Honestly, yeah. They can't really make profitable blocks, so we'll just attack with the whole crew, minus the Blade Splicer, since the Splicer isn't there to be a scary body all on its own. It's more meant to augment. It's more meant to augment the rest of what your board's doing. That's lethal, right? Unless I'm... Oh, one off. That's fine. Did I technically miss lethal? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think I technically could have had lethal there by turning on the... I have to be honest, when I let the dog out, I had totally forgotten that I had the golem that I could have used to activate the Hall of the Storm Giants and gotten a win there. I do apologize, but my brain was pulled in a couple different directions. I don't think they're going to do anything that crazy to like really swing this back, if we're being entirely honest. There we go. Got there in the end. I don't terribly know if I need to... I think I'm just going to run it again. Like, I felt pretty good about... Or, sorry, I felt pretty good against what our opponent's deck was trying to do as far as I could tell. Which is just like, you know, some Esper sort of good cards, kind of mid-rangey thing. But, like, we're also... you know, a mid-rangey, value-y, grindy thing, or deck ourselves, so I feel pretty confident in the mirror matchup. You know, assuming good draws and all that, but that's true of any game. 2-lander, some spells, gonna be on the draw, technically things to do. Yeah, sure, why not? It's not the strongest hand in the world. Oh, gosh. Pardon, dog once again. Again, pardon that, but, you know, dog is going to dog. Isn't that right, buddy? Now, sweet cat, you can get along with the dog. He's not messing with you. He's not even in your bubble. What you smelling, buddy? Hi, Bubby. Hold on. Let me move things. Come on, you can come cuddle. Yeah, come hang out with me. I guess we'll do a sink into stupor. And we'll pay the 3. Getting the Distinguished Conjurer up and running. Somewhat like Path to Exile, maybe? And even then, I don't think this is one of the cards you, like, especially in the early game, it's not really a card you'd waste, or should waste, removal on. I'd rather get rid of the big scary thing that, you know, is making it happen. You know you're not supposed to be back there, buddy. Yep, you're gonna... Oh, God. There we go. Again, pardon, but dog is going to dog. Isn't that right, little man? Just come hang out with me. Come cuddle with me. Baby boy. Play a Skyclave Apparition to start trying to get the value a-rolling. What you doing, buddy? What is wrong with you? What is the matter? You're so crazy. Go ahead and attack with the Conjurer. You're making what Max is trying to do very difficult. Why are you being such a butt? There's not even anything down there. Oh, it's still in there. Dog, go on. Stop being a butt. I love you. Come lay down. Do a pathway on white, and I guess we'll do a soul herder. Just start trying to, again, make the degenerate value happen. Go ahead and attack. I'd be very surprised if our opponent's deck has some sort of like combat tricks. Doing the correct thing, blocking the most amount of damage, but really we're just trying to get any damage through that we can. Isn't that right, Jet? Yeah, go ahead and flicker the apparition. Yeah, come lay down with me. Yeah. Take that action. Go ahead and do the fun stuff. There you go. Thank you, buddy. Yes, I know. You guys to hang out with little old me. I am sorry. Exile target creature at the beginning of... Oh, so is it like an Esper Flicker thing? Cool, that's fine. What was the one that he... Yeah, okay. I mean, that certainly is an option. It's very odd, but that's fine. 100%, go ahead. Yeah, just gaining life. Okay. Now, what their deck was in Game 1 is starting to make a little bit more sense if it's like an Esper version of this. Yeah. Non-land. Cool, that's fine. Probably gets rid of the Soul Herder. Honestly, I will ephemerate that. Yeah, we'll lose a couple of 1/1 counters on it, but in the long run, it's worth it to flicker the Soul Herder. There we go, gaining some life. Let's see what happens next turn. Honestly, yeah, at the start of our turn, when we get the rebounded version of Ephemerate, we'll just get rid of their Dawnbringer Cleric. Be pretty happy with that. We eat that 2 damage all day. And honestly, that's kind of better for us. We're looking to apply more pressure than they are anyway. So we take it. Ephemerate, Ephemerate targeting the Apparition. Got there eventually. Be gone, Dawnbringer Cleric. I suppose there's in theory an answer. Didn't think so. Honestly, yeah, I think we're just going to apply some pressure. What? Let's see. If it's Fatal Push, it wouldn't be... Revolt wouldn't be on because... Is Revolt... Is it dies or leaves the battlefield? I guess we'll do the Conjurer. We don't want to give them back a 2/2 right now if we don't have to. Beginning to think that Revolt is just if a creature leaves the battlefield upon further reflection. But again, feeling very firmly in the driver's seat. This is one of the... I was about to say they did the correct thing. It's one of those you don't attack in that moment. In this... Hang on. Non-legendary creature... Yeah, I should be able to Hallow Respite their Illusion. There we go. Wanted to make sure I understood that card correctly, like I thought I did. I can use the Respite in this case not to flicker one of my own creatures, but to get rid of one of their sort of more inconsequential little tokens. If they have a Settle, we have a Dovin's Veto. Very happy. Again, we'll just flicker the Conjurer. We don't want to give him back a blocker if we don't need to. Again, feeling very comfortable and in control here with this particular setup. We don't need to advance our board any more than we need to. Or, we don't need to advance our board any more than we are right now. That stinks, but okay. I don't think I care, right? Guess we can do... Sink into Stupor, paying 3. We will Apparition down their Brutal Cathar before they can... Well, in theory, if they have, unless they have some sort of interaction. Get rid of their Cathar before it can have the Ward on the Werewolf side. Stinks to lose our big scary Soul Herder, but again, we're comfortably in the driver's seat. We don't need to, worry that much. We can clearly still get there in the end and grind out some value. Yeah, barring like a successive run of like very good cards, we're feeling pretty good. Again, we don't really need to give them a board right now, so we can just flicker the Conjurer. Perfectly happy where we are. Ravenous Chupacabra. That is a good one, and I haven't seen that card in a hot minute. would get hit by it. Let's see. Guess we can do a hollow respite on the apparition. When it comes, well, again, yes, we don't want to give them blockers if we don't need to. In this moment, I'd rather them have some I'd rather them have some little 2/2 dirtly dude than a ravenous chupacabra. They could, in theory, flicker back a whole bunch and really begin to chip away at my board. Feeling pretty good. I'd rather keep the Dobrin's Veto open for some shenanigans. Don't strictly need to throw things away here. Very happy we got rid of the Chupacabra. That would have been a good hit with the Charming Prince. A card that I had in earlier versions of this, but don't really have anymore. It's in a weird spot that, like, it's not bad. But honestly, I think like a Distinguished Conjurer is sort of fulfilling much the same role as a Charming Prince at a lower rarity, but you can make an argument going either way. I acknowledge that. I guess we can do a Delny here. We're in an odd spot. I don't like the idea of just taking a turn off, but I think we, well, honestly, actually, let's make our opponent make choices here. They might not even choose to block it, which is also an option, but I would be very surprised if they do that. That's how they're blocking. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, we're fine with that. Unless they have... Okay, the deck's kind of all over the place a little bit. But that's fine. Much the same thing happens. Sneeze. There we go. Caught the sneeze. I was going to say much the same thing is going to happen next turn. I don't think our opponent's is like... How do I word this? I don't think our opponent is like that much further ahead for having one of those like interesting rebirth style effects. They're fine, clearly. But it's one of those I don't think they're strictly needed, if that makes sense. Honestly, if they attack, I think we just like eat it and be happy. Yeah. Oh, you have to have something. That's a very reckless attack when you're like a pretty low life total, all things considered. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think there's a way I kill here, right? What's the flashback? It's just the cost of them. Yeah, there we go. We take them. And honestly, it's a pretty good showing for the list. If you are into more grindy, more value decks that aren't necessarily super flashy or super explosive, but good solid decks, I've honestly had like a whole lot of fun with this. I believe I've said something in the past that in the past I didn't feel that Flicker Midrange, like flickery list, were in a particularly good spot. And back then, in a previous version of this list, I did mean it. But the meta in Historic has like kind of slowed down a little bit, where you can afford to be more grindy, more like value oriented, than necessarily having to deal with really aggressive boards really fast. It's one of those, they haven't been pushed out entirely, but you just, or at least I just see less of them. So, anywho, deck's fun. I actually think you should try it if you like Flicker decks. I will come back to a list like this in the future. Just have to have, you know, more interesting cards. I do I would recommend trying this if you have the wild cards floating around or the basic shell. Go ahead and try it. But thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future. And if you have any sort of questions like, I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive comments, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. With all that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.